Hello. Okay. I'm checking from my phone camera to see if I'm in frame. Um. Hello, everyone. Uh. I'm outside my dorm. My roommates are upstairs. My friend is here, but I really needed to do this. Um. I hope I'm in frame. I'm outside this time. Uh. Yes. I don't know what else to say. Um. I want to keep this short today, and I have my notes. Today, I want to talk about this is what I'm going to name the video. I hope I don't decide to change it. An expansion on living a slow life, how to achieve it, and its origins. Why? Because I talked about it briefly, like almost a year ago, but I didn't expand on it properly. I hope you can hear me properly. I don't have a microphone. I'm recording on my camera, but I don't know if you can see the camera. Hold on. This is what I'm working with. Çok güzel, very beautiful. Yeah, I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm gonna read a few quotes. Slow living is a lifestyle which encourages a slower approach to aspects of everyday life, involving completing tasks at a leisurely pace. The origins of this lifestyle can be attributed to the Italian slow food movement of the 1980s and the 1990s. The movement rose kind of like in response to growing fast food industries like McDonald's and stuff. So the movement was more focusing less on fast food and more on traditional food. It's less about caring so much about food. It's focusing on a slower life. You could go to McDonald's and you could buy a $2 menu. I mean, back in the day, 80s and 90s, probably what, like 25 cents for the menu. But it's fast, it's mass produced. You know, what's the joy in that? I'm not making that food. It just is. We don't need everything to be so fast. We need to focus more on. It's more about, how do I explain this? It's more about the quality than the quantity. When you work at McDonald's, you're making how many menus a minute? Making food can take hours. Sometimes it can take hours, but just because it takes long doesn't mean it's not important. Or I'm getting off track. I'm going back to my notes. The lifestyle and movement were heavily influenced by political activist Carlo Petrini, shout to that motherfucker, who founded the organization Slow Food in 1987, and to my knowledge, to this day, they're still active and still promoting traditional, locally produced healthy food. The lifestyle slow living encompasses a wide variety of subcategories, such as slow money and slow cities, which are proposed as solutions to the negative environmental consequences of capitalism and consumerism, in alignment with the aims of the Green Movement. If you care to learn more about the Green Movement, you can look that up, because I'm not going to be covering that today. I am so sorry. The slow living movement also focuses on the idea that a fast-paced way of living is chaotic, whereas a slower pace encourages enjoyment of life, a deeper appreciation of sensory experiences, and the ability to live in the present moment. Let me, an honorable mention that this lifestyle does not discourage use of technology or the internet or smartphones. That's not what it is at all. It's about living life at a slower pace. Rather than rejecting modernity. I talked about how it's a rejection of the fast, mass-produced food industry, but it does not reject technology. It's not saying that you can't use technology and you can't endorse in the modern world. I'm gonna sit down. I hope I'm staying in frame. I really hope I'm staying in frame. I think that's good. Okay, I feel more comfortable. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. Might do that. Yeah, it doesn't reject technology, it rejects how fast the modern world is. It's not saying that we have to completely go back to our roots where we cannot use any technology and we should only communicate through letters or the fire signs, smoke in the air. It's not saying we have to go back to being Neanderthals, but it's saying, I'll tell you what it's saying. For example, the hashtag slow living has been used more than 6 million times on Instagram, apparently. I have my source here. That's what it says. I can't say anything about that. The backronym, if you don't know what a backronym is, it's an acronym from the word. It's like if you have the name of a company, you know, like it's usually not just a bunch of letters, it's a word. Like slow, it's already a word, and they picked the acronym based on the word. It's not that they found the meaning and then they made it into an acronym. They based the acronym on the word because they wanted it to make sense for each other, so it sounds like a word. It's not just like FSNS or something. It's an actual word. Slow. S is for sustainable, L is for local, O is for organic, and W is for whole. Whole as in not processed. You know, like organic, like locally produced food. Anyway, the background slow is commonly used to summarize the aims of the slow living lifestyle. Not to be confused with, but honorable mentions to the slow movements, a cultural initiative that advocated for a reduction in the pace of modern life, encouraging individuals to embrace a more thoughtful and deliberate approach to their daily activities. Simple living, referring to practices that promote simplicity in one's living, in one's lifestyle. Also, downshifting as a lifestyle. In social behavior, a trend where individuals, I am fucking sorry. Who the fuck is texting me? Bitches. Motherfuckers. This is like when your teacher's phone rings in class, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, but they answered the phone anyway. I would have, but complicated. I'm not having the best day of my life right now. I'm doing this anyway because I just love YouTube so much. That's a lie. I'm a filthy liar. Filthy liar. Anyway, I was talking about downshifting as a lifestyle and social behavior. It's a trend where individuals adopt simpler lives from what critics call the rat race. If I am not in frame, am I? Rat race is a metaphor used to describe an endless, self-defeating, or pointless pursuit. Kind of rude if you ask me, but positive psychology. It is a scientific study of conditions and processes that contribute to positive psychological states, like contentment and joy, well-being, positive relationships, and positive institutions. I have a lot more that I have written, you know, what the slow life movement should not be confused with, but also honorable mentions. But I don't think I have to go over all of them. This is gonna be so fun for me when I'm editing. There's quite a lot. As references, I took 2 books I wanted to talk about, which I haven't read because I didn't have the time to, but I read the summary. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm working on a deadline. Slow Living by Jeffrey Craig and Wendy Parkins. Here they talk about speed in the essence of the modern era. Our faster, more frenetic lives often troubling us and leaving us wondering how we are meant to live in today's world, and all of that. Slow living explores the philosophy and politics of slowness as it investigates the growth of slow food into a worldwide eco-gastronomic movement. I'm just reading a Wikipedia page at this point. I kept my notes because I want to keep this more organized. I hate it when people tell you to take notes. They're like, oh, it makes it more organized. I hate taking notes. I hate notes. Even like, I'm a writer, like when I want to like write a novel, people are like, oh, you can't just like write whatever comes to your mind. You can. When I don't do that, I don't know what I'm doing. If I keep notes, then I don't know how to write. Right now I have notes and I don't know how to talk. I hope what I'm saying is audible. I keep saying that. I hope what I'm saying is audible. I got this camera secondhand in Girne like 2 years ago when my grandma was here, and it doesn't really work amazingly, so I hope you can hear. I hope I'm audible, but I don't want to scream because other people live here, so I don't want to be disrespectful. I am getting so off topic. The second book, which I'm just gonna mention, I guess, is by Daisy Tam, her 2008 a book, Slow Journeys, What Does It Mean to Go Slow, on Food, Culture, and Society. I want to read an extract from the book, just a quote, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Established in the late 1980s, the slow food movement stated its interest in defending the pleasures of the table from the homogenization of fast food and fast lives. Because of this, it has often been disregarded as yet another food and wine club, or misunderstood as a nostalgic desire for bourgeoisie living. By addressing this partial understanding of the movement, I wish to illustrate through a case study in Marks and Spencer the qualitative differences between fast and slow food cultures. I continue to reflect on slow food and draw out some of the resources the movement offers for the understanding of a wider practice of slow or slow living in general. Through a full Coldian reading of Care, this piece aims to illustrate how slow can be cultivated and developed into a wider praxis that goes beyond the dinner table. What is the meaning of slow money? Okay. The concept of slow money is about investing in the sort of future we want and doing so closer to home with a focus on food systems. The term slow money was coined by Woody Tasch, T-A-S-C-H, Tasch, or Tasch, Woody Tasch, shout to my man, who wrote a book about his vision, and a movement of sorts has developed around the concept, so I have heard. This whole slow money thing is like, let's say you want to move out. I'm gonna give an example from my life. You want to move out. You can't move out. You don't got money. You don't got a job. You're very, very young. I rent now. I rent a dorm. I only paid for the semester. When the dorm is done, I gotta be out in like a month, by the way. I gotta figure out what I'm doing in my life. I have to do that. So, slow money in that, in relation to that, is sort of like, you can't move out. I can't buy a house, first of all. In this economy, that's kind of impossible. Our grandparents may have bought houses, but I don't think I will ever buy a house in my lifetime. And I'm okay with that. I've accepted that from a very young age, that I will never buy a house. That's whatever. I don't care about buying a house. It's like, you can't have exactly what you want, but you can have the next best thing. I'm a student now, so I can rent dorms, I can rent shitty apartments, I can work shitty part-time jobs. I'm not saying that your life has to be shitty, but I'm just talking about in relation to me. For example, you want to eat sushi at an expensive restaurant, but you can't do that. You can do the next best thing. You can make it your own. Sushi is not that hard to make, by the way. People think it's really hard. My neighbor made sushi for me that one time. It was fucking amazing. You can buy the ingredients from the store and you can make it yourself. You may want a Porsche. You may want a Porsche, but chances are, if you are an average or below citizen, you can't afford to buy a Porsche. I don't have my license, but when I do get my license, I will be driving my parents' cars. Maybe when I'm older, I will buy a 20 to 30-year-old car because I can't afford anything newer. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. It bothers some people, but it doesn't bother me. This whole slow life thing doesn't bother me. Slow money, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind having the next best thing. I don't mind having the worst thing. Like, this is what you want, I don't mind having this. It doesn't bother me. But it does bother some people. I guess I mastered this whole slow life thing, or whatever. What are slow cities? I want to talk about this also. The slow city movement challenges the fast pace of modern life and consumer culture. It emphasizes local economy, the promotion of local production and products, support for small businesses, and revitalization of the local economy. So slow cities for any of us that don't live in like big places. I live on a motherfucking island. What the fuck is a slow city? Where I live, you call this a slow city? This research, all of this bullshit is so America-based. Some of us don't live in cities where there's always something happening and it's so always hustling and bustling, but I wouldn't call this, where I live, I wouldn't call it a slow city, I call it a city. People call it a small city. This is where I was raised, I call it a city. I don't think it's that small. I've seen villages, I am from villages that are the size of a street, so I don't think my city is small. But there's some that's small. For people who come from big places, it's small, and our life can be considered as slow, but I don't know. It's sort of like imagine living in a village. Well, my family basically, but you know, those of you who are from bigger places, imagine a village. When I go to the village to see my grandparents, imagine your daily chores. You wake up when the sun comes up. They don't wake up that early anymore. They wake up an hour or two after the sun comes up, but they used to wake up when the sun comes up. Let's say 5:30 to 6 in the morning. Now they wake up at like 7:38, and that's too late for them. My grandma's mad that she can't get up at 6 in the morning like she used to. She's like, I'm getting old. My grandma is not that old. She's 70 years old. I'm saying she's not that old because my great-grandma is still alive. My grandma, my 70-year-old grandma, her mom is still alive and she still calls her mom every day. That can be considered slow life. She gets up every day at 8 in the morning. She has breakfast. She tends to her garden. She washes the dishes. She has a nap. She waits for her mom to call her every day at 12. They make lunch. They eat. They do more dishes. They walk around. They feed their animals. They used to have goats, but they got rid of the goats because they can't afford to feed them anymore. They have rabbits. I don't know if the rabbits are still there. You watch your shows. My grandma gets like 1 hour iPad time. She looks for stuff to knit online. My grandpa, he watches football next to her. And they go to sleep. That is key example of a slow life and a slow city. There is shit else to do. There's slow life in, you know, like for us, it's because we don't have a choice. But if you're from Manhattan, New York, and you're living this life, it's definitely a choice. You have shit to do in New York, so I've heard. I've never been. You have clubs, you have cafes, you have places to go, you have places to see, you have shit to do. So if you were to live a life like this, that would be by choice. Here is because we don't really have a choice. This is just all we have. This is just what we're dealing with. I think that's beautiful. It doesn't bother me. My plan for the day is I was at my friend's house last night. I just got back to my dorm. We had food. My plans for today are, first of all, I did that. I had breakfast with my friend. I record this, then I'm gonna go do my laundry, and maybe I'll hang out with a friend today. That is gotta be epitome of slow city, of slow living. That's the best example I can give you. Slow living as a solution to capitalism. Oh, I want to talk about this one. Slow living is an antidote to our fast-paced world, which preaches a life where stop and smell the roses isn't just a cliche but a way of life. This is from an article. I will link the article in the description for anyone who wants to read it. In our technology-driven, hustle-glorifying era, it can feel like it's a crackhead seeking refuge at a gas station late at night. Why this analogy? I think it'll resonate more with people. Don't ask why. A world where speed limits are optional and tranquility reigns supreme then feels like a distant dream. Enter slow living, a valiant endeavor to save the day and restore our sanity one leisurely step at a time. Slow living expands upon the idea of protesting the popularity of growing fast food chains like McDonald's by shining a spotlight on traditional food production techniques as a way to encompass various aspects of life, including work, leisure, and personal well-being. With time, the idea gathered momentum and its appeal drew more followers, particularly due to its perception as a lifestyle opposed to capitalism, consumerism, and mindless destruction of the environment. Have I mentioned them before? I didn't. Anyway, Carl Honro. I'm gonna read the quote from this guy. My camera's not great. After 23 minutes and something seconds it cuts off, so I'm seeing if I'm running out of time, because if it cuts off, it doesn't record for longer than that. This is not a video camera, this is like for short videos, maybe 1 or 2 minutes and pictures. So it's definitely not a video camera, so it cuts off after 23 minutes and 7 seconds, I think. So I'm keeping an eye on the time.